Dumelang! Welcome to my channel, Botswana Thinking Law, where I bring you and the law closer. Today on this video, we're going to be talking about the law in relation to children. But before we get started in this video, I'd like to put in a disclaimer. This is not legal advice. This is simply a sharing of general information. If you have a problem of a legal nature, please engage the services of an attorney. Now back to our video. There are so many people that have children in Botswana, but how many people actually know and understand the law in relation to children? When we're looking at the law in relation to children, we're going to be focusing on 6 main aspects. We're going to be dealing with custody and access. We're going to be dealing with maintenance and support. We're going to be dealing with inheritance. We're going to be dealing with paternity testing. We're going to be dealing with adoption. And we are going to be dealing with the capacity for children to sue or be sued. We won't be dealing with them in this exact same order, but those are the 6 points that we will be focusing on. This is part 1. When it comes to the law in relation to children. It's going to be a 2-part series because of how detailed and in-depth the law in relation to children is. In relation to custody and access, this talks to the ability for a child to live with both or one of the parents, as well as the right to have visitation. Now, when a child is born, they are not always born in a marriage. However, the rights that attach to that child, as well as the rights that attach to a parent and the duties that flow from there, do not change whether or not a child is born in or out of marriage. When it comes to issues of access or custody, you find that in most instances, especially in this country, the women are the ones that are living primarily with the children. It is not clear why, because both the mother and the father have the right to live with the child, whether or not the child is born in a marriage, but that is besides the issue. The situation in the country is that most of the time, although not all, children will live with their mothers. And this happens whether children are born in or out of a marriage, or if they are born in a marriage and the parents get divorced, you find that in most instances, the mother will be the one that lives with the child. We have to bear in mind, like I said before, any of the parents has the right to live with the child. It is not a situation where a woman has more rights than a man to live with the child. And a man can successfully go to court and argue for why the child should live with them. And this, like I said, does not matter whether the parents were ever married or not. However, most of the time, when the child lives with the mother, the father will then have access or right to visitation. And this access can be in the form agreed to by the parties, being the mother and father, which would be every other weekend. So this weekend, they skip one weekend and then the next weekend. And in that instance, the father, if we carry on with the example, would be allowed to actually spend time with the child overnight, unless there is something that is preventing that situation from being. An example would be if the child is so young and they're still breastfeeding, and unfortunately the people find themselves in a situation where the mother cannot pump milk for the child to be away overnight. However, if a child is a bit older or they are being bottle fed and the father is able to take them over a weekend, there is nothing in law that prevents him from doing that. If there is something that prevents him from doing that, and the parties cannot agree, where the father says, no, I have the right to take my child over the weekend, and the mother says, but you can't, and gives her reasons, then one of the parties, either the one that wants to get access or the one that wants to put a stop to it or reduce it, can go to court and make an application to say, I want to be able to see my child on this particular basis. Or I want this person to be able to exercise their right in this particular way. One issue that is of importance when it comes to issues of children is maintenance. And maintenance, people usually link together with access. I will talk first about maintenance and what it is, and then I will discuss the tie-in between the two that people seem to put in place. There are instances where a party, let's say a mother, by example, cannot afford to live with a child. And then this mother will take the child to her parents or her mothers, being the child's grandmother. In terms of the law, when it comes to people that are supposed to have the right and priority in living with the child, then at the top you have the parents. Meaning if the mother cannot afford to live with the child, then the person who should be given the first option to live with the child has to be the father of that child. If the father of the child cannot live with the child, that's when the grandparents can be looked at as the ones to take over and live with the child. Now, when the child lives with these grandparents, then the parents of that particular child have to be able to see that child. If the mother sees the child on every other weekend or visits with the child on every other weekend, then the father should also be given that same right, unless it can be shown that either parent should not have that access for particular reasons. People can also agree or go to court to get a court order to be able to share the holidays for being with the children or the child. For example, after the first term of school and the child goes to school holidays, a person can agree, okay, this first school holiday, the mother will be with the child. The next school holiday, being the second term school holiday, the father will be with the child. And then the third school holiday, which is usually the Christmas and New Year holidays, the parties can agree to say Christmas, the child will be with the father, New Year, the child will be with the mother or her family, and so on. People can have these measures in place, and this is done for a specific reason. It is not for the benefit of the parents exactly. It is mostly for the benefit of the child. This is because in terms of the law, every child should have a relationship with their parent. And if the child is prevented from having a relationship with either one of their parents, then the parent who is preventing this creation of a relationship can be taken to task in terms of the law. Even if it is not a parent who is interfering with this relationship, it can be a grandparent or some other third party. They can be taken to task under the law. Now, on the issue of maintenance, people have to understand that maintenance is paid for the child, not for any parent. And here I'm using paid as a general term because maintenance can take many forms. Maintenance can be in the form of money, which is what people usually ask for. Maintenance can be in the form of providing groceries, and maintenance can be in the form of providing clothes and so on for the child. If I were to give an example where the child is living with the father and the mother is the one that is exercising access, seeing the child every other weekend and rotating public holidays and so on, the mother and the father can agree that maintenance required from the mother every month for the upkeep of the child, let's say, is 500 pula. They can then say, I will give you 500 pula every month as the mother to you as the father. Or, I don't have a stable job in order for me to pay 500 pula every month. But what I can guarantee is that every month I will come with groceries bought, and these groceries could be of the value of 300 pula. And these groceries will be for the benefit of the child. If the groceries are bought in that manner, that is still maintenance. Similarly, it can be the case if the mother is the one that lives with the child. It has to be understood, though, that this is a duty that every single parent has. Every parent has to look after their child. It is not an excuse for a parent to say, but I am not working. If you say you're not working, you're still alive. You're still eating. And whatever you eat, you can share with your child. And this is the reason why maintenance doesn't always have to be in the form of money. If you're eating fat cakes in the morning, then you should be able to say, I am going to eat half of this fat cake, and I'm using this as an example, and I'm going to give my child the other half. That is how maintenance should be looked at. Where the parties or parents cannot agree on how much maintenance should be every month and what form it should take, then they can approach the court. And usually the person who will go to court is the one who is unhappy about the situation. You might find that the one who goes to court is the one who lives with the child and is saying, this person, I believe, should be giving me money in the amount of 500 pula every month, and they are refusing to do so. And the parent might write back to court papers responding and saying, no, I cannot afford to constantly give cash worth 500 pula every month. But what I have been doing is I have been providing groceries every month worth 300 pula, and here are the receipts for such groceries. Unfortunately, as people, we don't want to always keep documents almost as if we're thinking of fighting somewhere down the line. However, it is important to always keep records. And the reason why it is important is you might not fight today, you might not fight in a month, but you don't know what's going to happen in a year's time. And the last thing you want as a person when you go to court is for someone to say something about you and your actions, and you're not able to produce anything to show that the position you're taking about what you said or did is the correct position. So keep those receipts. If you're buying clothes for your children every 3 months or so, you keep receipts. Why? Because that goes to showing that you are actually maintaining the child. The biggest mistake that people make is believing that maintenance should only be in the form of money. Maintenance is in any form that actually takes care of the child. In another situation, you might find that a child lives partially with the mother and partially with the father, especially when that child is young. If that situation is happening, then the parties might agree that every time the child is with you, you will take care of the maintenance needs of that child. So if in January the child was with the mother, then the mother takes care of everything. If in February the child is with the father takes care of everything, and so on and so forth. Although it is discouraged for a child to keep moving up and down so frequently, if the parties are living within the same area, let's say Gaborone, for example, it's a situation that sometimes can work. However, if the parties are living so far apart, one lives in Lobatse and another one lives in Seruwe, it will be quite a difficult situation to maintain, especially because you will have to have the child traveling a long distance quite frequently. If a person goes to court to sue for maintenance, what the court is usually doing when it looks at this application is to decide whether what this person is asking for on a month-to-month basis is reasonable. So a person can go to court and say, I want maintenance of 1,000 pula. Now, when a person says they are asking for maintenance for a child for 1,000 pula, the law says it means the maintenance requirements for the child are 2,000 pula every month, because each parent is supposed to contribute 50-50. However, if the 1,000 pula is being asked for as a greater amount from the parent who doesn't live with the child, let's use the example where the child lives with the mother, and the mother goes to court and says, I want maintenance of 1,000 pula being the 100% contribution from the father. And bear in mind, if you are a parent, you cannot ask for 100% contribution from the other parent. You can ask for 95, 90, and so on, but it can't be 100%. And the reason it cannot be 100% is because you also need to show that you are contributing something to the upkeep and maintenance of the child. Meaning, we go back to that example I gave of splitting a fat cake in half. To say I'm eating half and my child is eating the other half. So you must be able to show that every month the child needs things valued at about 1,000 pula. And out of this 1,000 pula, I, as the parent who lives with the child, can only afford to contribute 100 pula. And that is because I don't have a job, or the job that I'm working is not stable. I work on piece jobs and so on, and I don't make any money. And you have to say how much money you actually make. You then say, therefore, I am asking for 900 pula from the father because the father has a stable job. He earns approximately, when I look at people around that job, about 2,000 pula or 5,000 pula a month. And the reason I give this example is because if the father is also in the same situation as the mother, they're living off of unstable work or they're working piece jobs, they can only bring in 100 pula each, then you cannot ask for more than that person is able to give. And in answering that application, the father has to actually say, yes, I am working this job, but I'm not earning this money that she says I'm earning of 2,000 or 5,000. I'm actually earning 1,500. And from this 1,500, I can only afford to contribute 300 pula to the upkeep of the child. And they actually have to prove that they are earning this 500. It could be by a confirmatory affidavit from where they're getting their peace jobs and so on and so forth, their bank statements, anything of the sort, to try and demonstrate that the money that this person is asking for from me is not something that I can afford to pay. Or sometimes a person can say, I can't afford to actually pay on a month to month, but I have been buying groceries and this is how I've been buying groceries. You attach the receipts. I have been buying clothes. This is how I've been buying clothes, and you attach the receipts. If that is the situation, then the court cannot then force a person to actually contribute money, or it shouldn't, to contribute money when they are able to show that they have actually been maintaining, just not in the form of money. Now, when we get to the interlinking between custody and maintenance, the thing that a lot of people do, which is a serious mistake, and this is a mistake that is done by both mothers and fathers. They will say, because this person, let's say the child lives with the father will say, because this mother is not paying maintenance, then they cannot see the child. That is not the correct position of the law. The reason why the law does not say that is because then people that cannot afford anything ever, poor people that cannot work and live on charity, will then be denied the right to see their child. It is for this reason the law says no, you can have custody or you can have access, that is visitation, even if you are not paying a single pebe of maintenance. This is, however, not to say that parents should not look after their child. Maintenance is also paid by both parents. Remember, I said contribution is considered to be 50-50 unless you can show why your contribution should be less or more, whatever the situation is. If the child is taken to the grandparents, the parties have agreed that, the mother can't live with the child, the father can't live with the child is taken to the grandparent, then both parents have to contribute to the maintenance of the child. If the maintenance is asked for at court, the person who goes to court to ask for maintenance is not the mother, is not the father, but the grandparent who is living with the child. And the grandparent will sue both the mother and father for that maintenance, to say, I am living with this child. You together have to contribute 100% for the care of this child, and this 100% is 1,000 pula. I want 500 from the mother, I want 500 from the father. They then have to agree or put reasons before the court to say, no, but I can't contribute 500 because, and then give reasons. If they give reasons, then they have to say how much they can contribute or what it is they can contribute on a monthly basis. Because like I said, you cannot say you can't contribute anything for the maintenance of your child when you are still alive. You are still eating, and therefore your child should eat as well. And having said that, thank you for joining me. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative to you. Please like, share, subscribe, and let's get more knowledgeable with the law. The law can sometimes be dry, but when you apply it to everyday situation, you can then see how much our lives is controlled by law and how enjoyable it can be as well. Ring the notification bell so that every time I put up a video, you get notified. Follow me on my Twitter at BW Thinking Law. Follow me on my Facebook page, Botswana Thinking Law, where I sometimes put up little snippets on various areas of law that I haven't put up videos on, or where I've put up videos and I just want to go back to it just to, inform people. And as well, people can put in suggestions of the videos they want me to do. You can put them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for your support. You can put other video suggestions on my Twitter or on my Facebook, and I'm always happy to engage with you. And there are people that will ask me questions every now and then, and if I can help, I tell them, I can help by pointing you in the right direction for resources, and so on and so forth. I'm always happy for engagement with you guys, and I'm happy you joined me today. Bye!